viewers, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cami, and over here we talk about all things love, relationships, and astrology. If you are new here, hi, hello, how are you doing? I hope that you subscribe by the end of this video. Please do not forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts, okay? So you guys were asking me to do an extended video or elaborate a little bit more on the dark side to an Aquarius. I'm going to link the first videos down below, but I'm going to do it, okay? Because I'm going to give you what you're desiring, and it's going to be a lot. So be prepared for this. And before we get started, please make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Like the video, because I know you're gonna like it, so just like it. And then turn on your post notifications so you get to know whenever I post, okay? Yeah. You can comment afterwards, because I feel like we're gonna have some juicy conversations in the comment section below. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we are actually going to break this down in 3 components, but it all relates back to the same concept. So you'll see what I mean in a second. But we're going to be talking about an Aquarius hyper-independence, their commitment issues, and why they typically only want you when you don't want them. Aquarians, cross-watchers, get out a pen and paper because this is juicy, okay? You might learn something and also have some empathy and kindness, okay? Let's get started. So I am going to be providing a psychological reason as to why this phenomenon occurs in an Aquarius. In order to truly understand why this occurs, we need to look at attachment styles. Why are we even looking at attachment styles? Well, I'm glad you asked. So according to psychologists and evolutionists and me, attachment styles are one of the most important ways to determine a healthy relationship. They're usually shaped by like your primary caregiver, like your parent or someone who raised you, but they really set the tone for your social and emotional behaviors. There are 4 attachment styles. They're secure, ambivalent, anxious, and avoidant. But today we're just going to be focusing on avoidant attachment. Now, this may come as a shock to some, but most Aquarians have avoidant attachment styles. Let me explain. What that means is, sometime when they were younger, they realized that the best means of feeling safe and secure was for them to be alone. This is where we see that hyper-independence come into play. If you're in a relationship with an Aquarius, or if you're an Aquarius, you know our need to detach is a must. And that's because, and you guys may not know, this is a coping mechanism and truly a way of life at this point, right? So if you're dating an Aquarius, just know that detachment is going to occur sooner or later. So just be prepared for that. Avoidant attachment styles typically want people around, but not always want them underneath them, if that makes sense. So I know this may be confusing to others, but I'm going to try to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to talk about commitment issues, okay? Okay, Aquarians, be gentle with yourself, because I know this may be new information coming out, and you could be thinking 1 or 2 things like, oh, this doesn't apply to me, but I suggest that you keep listening. Or you're thinking, damn, I'm not unique, I just have issues. And either way, both of them are okay. I understand, right? Only take what resonates, leave the rest. But if this is resonating with you, just know that avoidant attachment is one of the most complex attachment styles. So that's where the complexities come in, and the uniqueness and individuality. So you still have that aspect, okay? You still have your independence, so. So now we're going to discuss commitment issues. Like I said, we're going to be talking about an Aquarius's outlook on the world. So if you ask an Aquarius how they view the world, they'll probably say something like, oh, it's a great opportunity for us to gather and connect with others. We just need to connect and blah, 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 right? No shade to us, okay? But if we dig a little bit deeper, we realize that our positivity usually comes from a direct reflection of how we feel within ourselves, but not necessarily the aspect of trusting or even, believing in other people per se. So let's dig a little bit deeper in that. I know what you're thinking, Aquarius. That's not true. Stop it, okay? Because there's a reason why you run from intimacy. We're going there. dark side to an Aquarius. Make sure you're liking this video, okay? If you didn't know by now, most Aquarians have a negative view when it comes to direct personal or interpersonal relationships, but friendships and outside separate people from them are great, right? But when it comes to close and intimate connections, they typically have a negative experience as it correlates to their primary caregiver. I'm just being honest. So how does that look in relationships? Well, Aquarians try to avoid conflict as much as possible in intimate relationships because they are fearful of losing themselves, okay? So they'll just try to run away from the situation and maybe even blame the other person, but they're actually just looking for a way out. Again, this is the dark side to an Aquarius. I just want to add, okay? So will I call this commitment issues? Not necessarily, and here's why. An Aquarius on a subconscious level is very fearful of losing themselves and the perception of the reality that they created, in which they only feel safe and secure, or they best feel safe and secure when they're alone. Now, if they come into contact with someone who allows them to feel safe and feel secure, it could bring a little, like, hold on now. You're reshaping my very existence or my understanding of reality and my perception. So it could cause some detachment and some ghosting, or, you know, whenever they feel overwhelmed or engulfed in someone, especially if they're not used to it. This also can be seen as self-sabotage, or this can also play out in a form of self-sabotage in which they are connected to a person and then they, you know, throw out roadblocks or do things intentionally to, you know, get the other person to leave or for them to leave the other person. It just continues to create the narrative of feeling safe and stable on their own and without other intimate connections or relationships. Again, this is a dark side to an Aquarius, so evolving and understanding and self-awareness is key here. So I hope y'all are following along. If you are, please make sure you like it, turn on your post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I post. And we're gonna keep going to the last part. So this is actually one of the most Googled statements about an Aquarius, why they only want you when you don't want them. And I'm going to debunk this really quickly. So an Aquarius, by now we know, has an avoidant attachment. Well, avoidant attachments usually attract the direct opposite of them, which is anxious attachment, okay? So anxious attachment people have a fear of abandonment. So what happens when an Aquarius detaches and decides to be in solitude for their safety and security? Well, that anxiously attached person is going to continuously reach out to them because that Aquarius has now triggered the anxious attached person's abandonment issues. So you see that, right? And Aquarians or avoidant attachment people probably know that this person has abandonment issues at this point because Aquarians are very observant, but it actually makes the Aquarius not want to reach out even more because they feel smothered or bothered by that person, right? Which ultimately leads in a breakup. Here we go, right? We're getting to it. And yes, in a true Aquarian's fashion, I am making light of a very difficult topic, okay? But let's keep going, shall we? Okay, so Aquarians or the avoidant attachment person has gotten their way because they're now free because they felt like ultimately that they are only safe and secure and stable when they're in solitude. So now they got their wish. They are completely free and they can be wherever they, you know, want and do and go and stuff like that. But here's the kicker. They really deeply crave intimacy. So what happens? The cycle repeats itself. They crave intimacy and they go into another relationship or with the same person, and until they learn their lesson of their attachment style and the ability to completely wipe away that narrative, the cycle will continue. So is it that an Aquarius doesn't want you, or they only want you when you don't want them? No, not necessarily, but they just need space. I'm going to be doing a video next on the things you can do in order to maintain a relationship with an Aquarius, what they need in a relationship, okay? All right. If you liked it so far, if you stayed to the end, please make sure you subscribe, honey, because at this point, we're in a relationship. No, we're not. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Please make sure you comment your experiences. I would love to hear from you all. Until next time, lovers.